I'm Shep Hyken, and here's what's coming up next on this edition of Be Amazing or Go Home. Delivering a better customer experience. We're doing things differently now, but the customer still deserves an amazing experience. We have 3 strategies to keep you at an amazing level. Wealthy, healthy, and wise. David Meinz joins me in the studio with great insights on how to focus on your health so you can make the most of your wealth. And scaling up. How do some companies become amazing while others don't? Well, Gleeson shares the secrets on how to get to the top of the climb by scaling up and taking the extra step. The amazing quote shows just giving a little extra effort can turn an average experience into an amazing experience. So, are you ready to be amazing? Well, stay tuned for all of this and more coming up next on Be Amazing or Go Home. Hello, I'm Shep Hyken, and this is Be Amazing or Go Home, the show that's dedicated to take you from average to amazing. So businesses are opening back up, but that doesn't mean we're back to business as usual. So how is business going to change post-COVID-19? Well, this will be especially important for business to consumer businesses that have seen their customers' buying habits change almost overnight. Health and safety are now at the forefront of the customer experience. Before the pandemic, consumers would visit businesses like grocery stores, gyms, restaurants, salons, and more almost on a daily basis. But now only 34% of people visit businesses like this just 3 times a week in person. That number it's 78% before the pandemic. Also, curbside pickup and delivery options have been around for years, but now the pandemic has made it a mainstream way of doing business. 75% of consumers report that they use this option on a regular basis, while 87% say businesses should continue to provide delivery and curbside pickup to reduce the need for in-person transactions. With those stats in mind, here are 3 ideas to help any business prepare for a post-pandemic customer experience. Number 1, create confidence. Nearly 80% of consumers say they'll seek out information on a business's health and safety standards before visiting. Customers want to know they're walking into a safe place. Publicly showcase your health and safety guidelines and policies. Doing this shows your business cares about its customers and employees. Number 2, market your health and safety policies. Take it a step further and be strategic about how you promote health and safety through marketing. But if you publicly communicate your policies and processes, it's imperative to be strict and diligent about them. Don't make commitments you can't live up to. To create trust and confidence, you cannot violate your own protocols and promises. And number 3, listen to your customers. Your customers will tell you if you're doing a good job. Find out if your process is working. Ask your customers for feedback. They'll share concerns if you ask them. Listen closely and then react quickly to the areas that need improvement. Even if you create confidence in your health and safety standards, a bad customer experience could still mean your customer doesn't come back. Now remember, most consumers haven't stopped doing business with the companies they've always done business with, but they have changed the way they go about it. If you can adapt accordingly and create confidence with the customer, then you can still create customer experiences that are truly amazing. Without your health, what's the point of your wealth? Well, the success of your organization is directly related to the health of your people and is now more important than ever. So, how can you focus on your health so you can make the most of your wealth? Well, David Meinz is the author of Wealthy, Healthy, and Wise, and he joins me now in the studio to talk about it. So, how you doing, David?
Hi, Shep. Good to be here.
I love this concept. Let's just start off, the whole concept of wealthy and healthy and wise. If you don't have your health, what's the difference? The wealth means nothing, right?
Right.
So what's the point of the book? You wrote this for a reason, which, by the way, not your first book.
That's right.
Yep.
Not as many as you, but I'm getting close. So the point of the book is that Surely the purpose of life is not to accumulate all this money, all this wealth, all these dollars, just so you can afford the best health care the last couple of months before you die. There's got to be more to life than that. Surely the purpose of wealth accumulation is to be able to enjoy life the last third of your life, to spend time with your family, your kids, to travel, to do something you're passionate about, to make your life count for something. And without your health, that money isn't going to allow you to do that.
So I know that a lot of books have a purpose, and yours definitely has a purpose. There's a challenge to the reader when they're reading this book.
Well, right, and the challenge basically is that you've got to get your priorities straight, and a lot of people forget that, and they accumulate all this money all these years, and then they think, oh, now all this money won't buy the health that I so much desire.
And the health, and to get that health, you suggest a number of different things. I know we've talked about blood pressure, heart disease, cancers, but your biggest thing is?
Well, diet and what you eat. And you know, it's not that complicated, Shep. There's really two kinds of food in the grocery store. There's real food and there's fun food. And most of the grocery store is made up of fun food, and you get that 1 day a week.
Wait, just 1 day a week I get to have fun?
Yeah, that's better than
Life
some
has
people.
got to be better than that.
No, that's not bad. I could have said none. So you get one. But real food, you get 6 days a week. And here's what real food is. People know this. It's produce, fruits and vegetables. It's whole grains. It's a calcium source. And it doesn't have to be cow's milk. It can be some of those other milks.
Almond milk?
Yeah, sure. A protein source, and it doesn't have to be meat. It can be chicken, it can be fish, it can be beans as well. That's the real food, and you want to eat those 6 days a week. Fun food is most of the grocery store. It's packaged, it's processed, it's a long way from how it grows, and I actually brought some samples today of what fun food is, and there's one more subcategory called funny food, and you get that once a year on your birthday.
Once a year. So I just want to say that a number of years ago, I was in Orlando, where you live, and we went to dinner, and I thought, oh my gosh, I got to be so careful about what I order. And I said, go ahead, order for me. And I remember you ordered me a delicious meal. I got salmon. I had salmon. The salmon had like a teriyaki sauce on it, which was actually quite delicious. I was totally surprised when you ordered me a potato.
Yeah.
I believe it might have been a sweet potato, but it was a potato.
I think it was a sweet potato.
And you let me put sugar on it to make it even sweeter. I was surprised at that. All right, let's see some fun food.
All right, so first of all, let's go on one basic food, and this is real food here. This is Quaker Oats.
Okay,
everybody's
oatmeal.
familiar with it.
Yes.
Steel cut. This can't be much better. That's real food, okay? Eat that 6 days a week. Now, if they would leave things alone, but they don't. They take it one step. They make real food into fun food, and this is processed oats right
wait
here.
a minute. On TV, this is like healthy, and people are doing crazy things like, you know, fun things.
Well, that's
maybe
why
that's why they call it fun food.
Exactly
so life
right.
is not really so much life.
That's right. And that's all I'll say. But now, then they take it a step further, and then you get Captain Crunch cotton candy.
Ooh.
Now, this is funny food here, and you usually find funny food in the cereal section, especially.
I love Captain Crunch. I have never heard of cotton candy Captain Crunch.
Shep, when you and I were boys, to get cotton candy, we had to go to the circus.
Yes.
Now it's in the grocery store.
And not only is it in the grocery store, it's in my face. I love the Captain Crunch because it gets stuck to the top of your roof of your mouth and it scratches a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, couple more. Now they've got Kisses, Hershey's Kisses.
Love
you don't have
those.
to bother buying candy anymore. It's
in
right there in the
Kisses
cereal. It's right.
All right.
Here's stuffed puffs. Now, we all love marshmallows, but isn't it a hassle to have to stuff your marshmallows with chocolate by yourself?
Let me see that.
This is now done for you.
Thank you very much.
That's
I'll
right.
take that home
and you
with me
can't get that
tonight.
in Russia. That's only in America you can get that.
All right. Oh, here we go.
Here's a good
Veggies.
one here.
This is
veggie
real food.
straws. Now, here's a lot of people think that's good for you. Veggie straws. Well, this is fun food. This is not real food. This is processed. It's not even close to the way it grows. And besides, it's not functional either. I tried to suck a piece of broccoli through this straw. It doesn't work at all. So forget it.
Okay. All right. That's great. That's great. All right. We don't have a whole lot of time left, so I've got to ask my favorite question at the end of every interview. The one thing you want to emphasize to us. What would it be?
I would tell America you need to lose some weight. When about 30 years ago, 1 out of 4 Americans were overweight. 1 out of 4. Today it's 70%. 70%.
7 out of 10.
Are
Not
overweight.
1 out of. Wow.
Yeah, 70%. And 1 out of 3 kids are overweight already. 1 out of 3 kids. So we're heading in the wrong direction. And the surprising thing most people don't know about the right way to lose weight is it has to do with your insulin levels. And we now know that if your insulin levels are too high because you eat too much fun food, which most Americans do, your insulin levels stay too high. That causes body fat to be put on your body, and you can't take it off if your insulin levels are too high. You got to bring that down. The way to bring it down is to let your cells rest. And people have heard about
the real food.
Eat the real food, but in a window of about 6 hours a day. It's called intermittent fasting.
Yep, I've heard of that.
If you
Don't eat breakfast and eat an early dinner.
I eat twice a day, at noon and about 6. You let your cells rest. They're not so they become more sensitive to insulin, and then you reverse the process. But a lot of people never think insulin levels when they think weight loss. That's a whole new program right there.
Wow. You know, we could talk for hours about this. Unfortunately, we have to go. But if you pick up the book, Wealthy, Healthy, and Wise, you'll learn all about it. You can buy this book anywhere, especially Amazon.
Especially my website.
And especially the website, which is?
DavidMeinz.com.
David Meinz, which is MEINZ.com. DavidMeinz.com. Pick up the book there. Thanks, David, for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Time now for the amazing app brought to you by First Rule. And this app is disrupting the $230 billion a year convenience store industry. GoPuff allows you to order food, drinks, home essentials, and personal care items, and much more any time of the day. You order in seconds and it's delivered in minutes. Just place an order on the GoPuff app for a flat and meagerly priced delivery fee, and they'll pack it and deliver it with no middleman or crazy price hikes, and your order is delivered straight from their house to basically your house in less than 30 minutes, providing you extra time in your day. You can even sign up for a monthly subscription delivery model. Now, GoPuff is out-conveniencing the competition by reducing friction and providing the technology, subscription, delivery, and access to its extensive line of products. By making life effortless for the modern-day consumer and providing the solution for immediate and everyday needs, GoPuff is truly an amazing app. How do only some companies become amazing while others do not? Well, one reason is because those who make it are scaling up. The Scaling Up Performance Platform has provided more than 30 years of proven business results around the globe as they scale into industry-dominating businesses. Now, here to talk more about scaling up is Barry Gleeson, a certified scaling up coach from an organization called the Kelsey Group. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Great. So scaling up. I know about scaling up. As a matter of fact, there is a book, Scaling Up. This is it by my buddy Vern Harnish, who I've known probably since the 1990s. So let's talk about it. What is scaling up?
Scaling up is a strategic thinking and execution planning process. And it helps companies go from startup, past screw up, into scale up.
Startup past screw up, because there's a lot of faltering at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Yep. You know, no plan has ever gone just perfect, has it?
Exactly.
Yep. And so what size business?
Any size business, actually. $1 million business up to multi-billions.
What about a startup entrepreneur? Solo entrepreneur wants to start their business. And they, by the way, $1 million business may seem big to people, and I'm sure a lot of the people who are watching the show, they come from all walks of life. The CEOs of large corporations all the way to that startup. I believe when I read the book, I thought this applies to me, and I'm a small business. It applies to, but how small can it go?
To solopreneurs.
Solopreneur,
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely.
All right, and the concept behind scaling up.
The concept is, actually scaling up is a consolidation of great practices by thought leaders like Jim Collins, Patrick Lencioni, and the like. And
they sound, by the way, like all of Vern Harnish's close friends, because I know that's who he hangs out with.
He has a tight relationship with them, absolutely. And so the principles, just one idea in here can apply to any business.
Yeah.
And so it's really a a la carte menu to pick from this what helps your business, and it's iterative. So you want to find what's a constraint for you, find the proper area of the book. There's 4: people, strategy, execution, and cash, and determine which one's going to have the biggest impact on your business.
So I would say if I'm stressing out of any one of those 4, I would start with the one that stresses me out most.
Correct.
Okay. Choose one and give me an example.
People.
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 All right. Now I know Somebody was, how many people do you have working for you? About half of them. Okay,
Funny,
but seriously, people can cause a lot of stress if you don't hire the right people, you don't train them properly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You could have the best strategy in the world, the best execution protocols, and a lot of cash, but it's not going to matter if you don't have the right people.
Yeah.
So you really have to have the right people in the right seat, doing the right things right.
How do you get them?
Carefully. So we follow Top Grading's protocol for finding and hiring and onboarding people.
Great. And Top Grading is from
Brad Smart.
Brad Smart, who's another friend of Vern Harnish's.
Right. And his son, Jeff Smart, wrote another book that complements that.
Yep, great book.
Yep.
And by the way, great, outstanding books. But so you start with the hiring and the top grading, and just in a nutshell, what is that?
It's finding the right people.
Yep.
Actually trying to have the right core values.
It's a system in place
system.
to help you get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So imagine you define what it is you want, you go through a process, and then from there you now have this filter.
You do. And then once you find the right candidates or the right employees, you want to have a very deliberate onboarding process to make sure that your investment in that new employee is maximized.
So let's go to another stressor that a lot of companies have, and that's cash.
Yes.
Yes. Let's talk about that for a moment. Give me an example of some scaling up ideas in cash.
Well, the one that stands out to me is a power of one model.
Power of one.
The power of one, it has 7 levers. We all have revenue, cost of goods sold, overhead, AR, AP, inventory. And you can modulate any one of those levers 1%, 2%, 5%, and it actually helps you understand what strategies to use to go forward, whether you discount your price, increase your volume, cut your overhead, and what impact that has on cash flow and on your margins.
Right, so you take a look, and you say 1%, is it like you make a 1% change and it impacts? How does,
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the module actually has you increment or decrement 1% or more on any one of those 7 elements, and it shows immediately, based on your financials, what the impact is to the business.
Wow, incredible. So you're a coach, and
Yes.
you help people do this.
Yes.
You work with the leaders of organizations to make the scaling up principles come to life.
Absolutely.
All right, so my one thing question, is there one thing that you want to share with us that just, you know what, I got to make sure that this audience knows this about scaling up?
It is powerful. It is all-encompassing. It can take any business to the next level with disciplined thought, disciplined action, and planning.
Is there something specific rather than telling me it's great? Give me a nugget.
Read the chapter on people.
Read the chapter on people. Okay, so, and I'm going to push on this. Is there something specific you want me to learn from this? I want to know. I want to walk away right now going, I can do this, without even reading the book.
To get the right people, you have to have clearly defined core values for your organization.
Okay.
If you don't have those, step 1.
Great. Core values, that's where it starts.
Absolutely.
And actually, that's what helps build your culture. And the culture, when you start hiring people to the culture, that's what it's all about.
We have a 1-page strategic plan that's outlined in this. It's quite famous. And the very first column and the very first thing is defining your core values.
Amen to that. So that's the book, Scaling Up. You're a coach in the scaling up system. I highly recommend it. Thanks so much for being on our show.
Great to be here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, it's time to hear from you and time to Ask Shep, which is brought to you by First Rule. Now, you can find me anywhere on the web, including these social channels. So use the hashtag AskShep to ask me your questions and share your amazing stories. So let's begin. Anna Jordan is a sales manager at a car dealership, and she asks, what are some proven and effective renewal strategies or subscription-based models? Well, the subscription model is powerful and goes beyond subscriptions of magazines and newspapers. I mean, you can subscribe to almost anything. Amazon has subscription services for the items you consume on a regular basis. Chewy.com delivers to your front door dog food and other pet items your furry friends consume on a regular basis. You can even subscribe to a car. But let's take this to a broader level regarding renewal. It isn't about getting someone to re-up at the end of a subscription. You start the renewal process the day you start doing business with a customer. That's what the best companies and people do. They recognize the opportunity at the beginning of the business relationship and never stop proving their value and why the customer should continue to do business with them. That's renewal. Next, we have Stephen Lee, who's a hotelier, and he says there's research out there that shows purposely giving bad customer service could be profitable for business. That seems crazy. Can you bust that myth? Well, I've read that same research, and I don't agree with it. The short version of the story is that some companies purposely make it hard for customers to get resolution, hoping that the customer is going to give up. If they make it far enough and they have the patience, well, maybe they might get what they're asking for. Otherwise, their customers end up staying with them out of simply frustration, not because they want to. Now, is that the kind of company that you want to do business with? Probably not. When you manage the customer service experience properly, it doesn't cost. It actually pays. Simply put, managing the customer service experience the right way is profitable for a business. Finally, we have Elaine Warren, who owns an antique shop, and she says our customer surveys show that trust is one of the most important factors in doing business with us. How can I build on that and make that trust even stronger? Well, trust is a great asset. It creates an emotional connection with your customer. If your customer doesn't trust you, it's easy for a competitor to take that business away. So here are a few ways to establish that trust. First, your product needs to work. Second, nobody is perfect. So when there are problems, the customer needs to have an easy way to get to the company and get them resolved. You have to live up to your brand promise. And speaking of promises, third is to do what you say you will do. Show up on time, follow through on commitments. Don't blame others when there's a problem. Fourth is to be proactive about problems whenever possible, reaching out to customers before they reach out to you. And finally, be polite, which shows respect and builds trust. So, are you ready to be amazing? Remember, you can find me just about anywhere on social media. So connect with us on our social channels, and don't forget to use the hashtag AskShep to ask me your questions or share your amazing story. Time now for the amazing quote brought to you by First Rule. And it comes from Roger Staubach, the Super Bowl champion quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner. There are no traffic jams along the extra mile. Now, this is a great metaphor that can be used in a variety of ways and is especially applicable to business, and specifically the concept of the customer experience. It's the extra time a salesperson spends helping you make the right selection. It's the customer support rep that takes an extra few minutes to ensure you have all of your questions answered and won't need to call back. Sometimes it's a little creativity and extra effort that can make a big difference in the customer experience. Now, one story that comes to mind comes from a woman who went to dinner at one of the finest restaurants in New York City. From experience, she knew that it was difficult to get her favorite beverage, which was Dr. Pepper. So she brought her own and simply requested a glass of ice, nothing else. When the server returned with a crystal glass filled with ice, she took the can of soda out of her purse and filled her glass. The server eventually took the empty can away. Now, several minutes later, he returned with another can of Dr. Pepper. She was astonished that the restaurant had Dr. Pepper. Well, it turns out that the restaurant didn't have Dr. Pepper. The server actually ran out to the corner bodega and bought the can of soda for her to enjoy. Well, I had a similar experience, almost just like this, at a fancy restaurant in a beautiful office building. And on that evening that I dined there, I asked if they had root beer, and the server said they didn't. But then he thought that the soda machine in the lobby of the building did. So he went all the way down to the lobby, and in just a few minutes, he returned with a can of root beer that he served me in a chilled beer glass. Now, that's an amazing experience. Now, there are at least 3 good lessons here. Number 1, pay attention. In both instances, the servers were paying attention to their guests. Paying attention can help you find opportunities to deliver a better experience. Number 2, care about your customers. The servers obviously cared about delivering a great service experience. They weren't just going through the motions. It would have been easy for a server to ignore the guest who brought in Dr. Pepper, or for my server to tell me, "I'm sorry, we don't have root beer." Number 3, put forth extra effort. The servers were willing to put forth a little extra effort to take care of their customers. Going to the vending machine or running just down to the corner bodega doesn't require a big effort, but it has a huge result. Now, this is about taking an extra step, not even an extra mile. But in both cases, these two employees made a little extra effort to ensure the experience was great, if not even amazing. Well, that wraps up this edition of Be Amazing or Go Home. And remember, you can find me just about anywhere on social media. So be sure to connect with us on our social channels. And don't forget to use the hashtag AskShep to ask me your questions. Thanks for tuning in. This is Shep Hyken, reminding you to always be amazing.